good afternoon again. It's nice to see friendly faces from 2 days before and also shining eyes. Hello, everyone. My name is Andrea Jós. I'm a biology teacher and a science communicator and the host of this stage. And hello, everyone who is watching us online. Our next speaker is a very interesting person. If you just look at on your right, he's just there smiling. And we have also a moderator, a professor. So first, a little bit about our speaker. He is a very experienced hunter and a great nature lover. He is of Greek descent and actually is a third-generation Tanzanian. Professionally, you will know a lot more about him when he gets on stage. Also, we have our moderator here, who is a wildlife biology professor and has also served as a dean at the Hungarian University of Agriculture and Life Sciences in Gödöllő. And I'm very happy to present them here on this stage. So please welcome Michel Mantheakis and Miklós Heltai.
So, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Michel.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure with me to discuss with you here on the stage. And as we discussed before it, please, first of all, introduce yourself and your activities and your organization and the organization aims in Tanzania.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Michel Mantheakis. I am the chairman of the Tanzanian Hunting Operators Association and a professional hunter for the last 35 years, and I also own my own safari company. My family moved from the southern Greek island of Creta in the late 1890s to Tanzania, and I'm very proud to be a Tanzanian citizen. I wanted to give you a little bit of background about the Tanzanian conservation model and the importance of the hunting industry. And before I get specifically into Tanzania, like all countries, they have their own natural resources, which can be marine, it can be wildlife, wetlands, rangelands, and every government has to decide how best to utilize those resources. Wildlife is a renewable resource. So most African countries delineated national parks where there would be no hunting, there would be purely preservation, and hunting concessions. The national parks were generally the most beautiful, most picturesque hunting areas, and the hunting concessions around would surround them as buffer zones and generally be in less attractive places for tourist visitors to follow. So what ended up happening until recently is that 32% of Tanzania, 306,000 square kilometers, was hunting concessions, and only 7% of Tanzania was national parks. And hunting is the conservation tool that was used to manage 32% of Tanzania. The size of our hunting concessions, to give you an idea, was double the size of Austria and Hungary combined. That's how big our hunting areas were. There has been a recent decline in the hunting industry, and a lot of these some of these wilderness areas became depleted and destroyed, and some areas were turned into national parks. We have some of the most beautiful national parks in Africa: Serengeti, Tarangire, Manyara, Kilimanjaro, renowned places. But out of 20 national parks that we have, only 4 of them are profitable. They receive enough visitors to operate profitably, and that money is used to fund the other 16 national parks which are in more remote places and less visited. So 4 national parks in Tanzania carry the other 16. What carries the hunting areas is the revenue from the tourist hunting. So for over 100 years, in fact, when it was German East Africa, in the late 1890s, they formed regulations and laws to manage wildlife, with a clear understanding that wildlife needs to pay for itself. It has to be a sustainable project. And the hunting industry thrived all the way until about 12 years ago. Then certain factors created a decline. One is that it's very normal for governments to get greedy and increase prices. And of course, the moment they increase prices, they reduce the market share, the number of people who could visit. And secondly is that we've suffered a lot of pressure from anti-hunting. And it's become, not in Eastern Europe, but in Western Europe, America, and Canada, hunting, as you know, has become a very controversial subject. And there's been a lot of pressure for countries to impose import restrictions and regulations and discourage the international hunters from coming to visit. And the Tanzanian hunting model for over 100 years has been funded by about 70% the American market and 20% European market. So we find ourselves now in a difficult crossroad, and how are we going to salvage our situation? Okay? I just wanted to open up on those grounds, and I'm sure a lot of the questions will cover the rest. Thank you.
Thank you, Michel. It's a short introduction. You as a professional hunter and me as a wildlife biologist also know that the wildlife management and the hunting is a part of the game, a part of the nature conservation, and also a very important activities when we use our natural resources. It's a typical part of the sustainable use of the wildlife resources. But we also know that there are some other activities which is also generate incoming for the local people, like safaris or photo safaris and so on. If you compare these activities, the hunting activities or other activities, outdoor activities, what are the most important advantages and disadvantages of these activities? How you can compare it?
First of all, both activities are very important to all African conservation models. Our national parks used to be 7% of Tanzania, that's grown to 11. So 11% of our land mass is national parks, which are dependent on phototourism. And it's crucial. Plays a very important role to our economy and everything. But the photographic safari market isn't big enough to replace the now remaining, it used to be 32%, now is 28% of Tanzania wilderness areas. And as I said before, only 4 of our national parks are profitable. And we have 16 national parks which are losing money. Maybe in 20, 30 years, phototourism will grow, it'll fill the vacuum. But under the present situation, hunting is a crucial tool of conservation to 28% of our land mass. As I said, it's double the size of Austria and Hungary put together. So both activities are extremely important. And also hunting areas often act as a buffer zone to these national parks. But one cannot replace the other. That's what I'm getting at. You need both. That's critical.
What do you think, or what is your experiences? Which activities are more important for the local people? for the local communities?
We have community areas which are used for tourism, photographic safari, non-hunting, and they get a great benefit from that. From the hunting perspective, it is only in recent times that we have allowed communities to manage their own resources. So the revenue from those community areas is used by the community. So they directly benefit to the tune of 70% of the revenue. Now, the problem we have is we inherited the old British colonial system where all wildlife belongs to government. So you have the irony of the commons comes into place. It belongs to government, it belongs to everybody and nobody. And so that created a very big problem for us. You must remember, our population doubles every 15 to 20 years. The Armageddon of African wildlife is an increasing population and poverty. Poor people in a village going hungry, and there's wildlife out there to eat. And they are not seeing a direct benefit from it. So it gives them all the justification to utilize those resources. So this is the biggest weakness we had in our system, is that wildlife belongs to government. Namibia recently changed. All wildlife belongs to the communities. And they are, in my opinion, number one in Africa in wildlife conservation. And Tanzania has been very slow to creating these wildlife management areas where the communities get such big benefit from it that they become custodians and they live with wildlife. And of course, living with wildlife has inherent risks and dangers. So we have been very late in starting to impose, and we only have very few community wildlife managed areas. I would like to see all areas of hunting for the benefits to be going directly to the community.
I can imagine. Thanks a lot. As we discussed it, and as you mentioned, the hunting and the wildlife management is really important. But I wonder, what was your best experiences? What was your best examples which clearly prove this statement? Or what is your favorite examples?
In Tanzania, we're responsible for managing our hunting concessions. We're responsible for conducting law enforcement, anti-poaching, we call it, where we have joint teams with government, armed government scouts, and our staff patrolling these areas and making sure they're not being depleted by poaching. My biggest success has been taking hunting areas that were depleted or not so great, investing in them and seeing the wildlife recovery. Seeing these areas which no hunting company wanted them before, within 10 years becoming top productive hunting areas. That's the biggest, for me, achievement. Most hunters like to think of, big trophies and things like that. For me, my biggest achievements in my career have been resuscitating hunting concessions. And when I left them with much more game than when I got them. Of course, we don't own the concessions. We have leases, so a time can come that you may have to leave, but you're handing over something in a better state than when we got it. My worst is having hunted in areas that, when I was a young boy, they were superb hunting areas that ended up with hunting companies that were not so responsible, who did not invest in anti-poaching, who were scared of the politics of standing up against communities at times. And those areas today are depleted. And when I was in my 20s, they were phenomenal hunting areas. And today it's just farms, livestock, and the game is gone. And that, I can't even go back there. It just breaks my heart.
That's really interesting. And thank you. You mentioned these examples. Because I also would like to ask you, every activities and the human activities has got also a negative impact on the nature and the biodiversity and so on. And it is naturally also true in the case of the hunting and game management. Could you please mention me some or ask some examples what kind of negative impact exist during the hunting activities or during the wildlife management?
There's an echo in this room, and sometimes I do not hear you very well. Can you repeat the questions? My apologies.
Sorry. So I would like to know, are there any negative impact on the nature caused by the hunting activities or the wildlife management? Do you know something which is negative or worst examples and so on?
Hunting can be negative to nature only if it is not managed or supervised correctly. A trophy, for an animal to be a real trophy, it should be an old male. We do not hunt young animals or females or young. So, as long as the focus is on an old animal, past prime reproduction, you're not having a negative impact on the population or the genetics. If you hunt younger males, you can be impacting genetics. If you look after your hunting area and stop poaching, the wildlife has a natural increase every year. Some species as much as 6 to 8% or more per year. So the crucial thing is that hunting be managed right. Hunting of only old males, ethical hunting. If it's done the wrong way, it can be detrimental. And luckily, the most examples we have in Tanzania, the companies are responsible and are doing it right.
In Hungary and in Central Europe, where the large carnivores actually come back and caused some new, in some cases, conflict situation between the wildlife management and the large carnivores. We are always discussing what is the real impact of the large carnivores on the game species population. What is your experiences in Tanzania? How you can manage the large predators, large carnivores, together with the ungulate species? Are there any conflicts between the hunters and the carnivores? Or it's a normal coexistence, or how you can manage this situation?
That's a very good question. The largest population of wild lion, for example, is in Tanzania. In all of Africa is in Tanzania. And the majority of those in hunting concessions in Tanzania. So how we manage our carnivores and how we hunt selectively only old males determines the quality of our conservation. But we also have conflict. When lions attack and kill and eat livestock, there is retribution, there is revenge killings. The locals will poison them, spear them, shoot them. And then you also have the other side of it. People also get killed by wildlife. It's a sad reality. In the last 4 years in Tanzania, we have lost 181 people killed by elephant. First week of August, there was 3 children in the Ngorongoro conservation area that were killed and eaten, while a 4th child was on a tree watching it all. So there is a risk. There will always be a degree of conflict when you have human activity in proximity or close proximity with wildlife. And when we manage our carnivores well, they can leave the hunting areas or the national parks or the game reserves and go into village lands, especially in the long raining season, when the grass is very tall. The lions have a hard time hunting, and they will very easily turn to livestock, and then they will be killed by poisoning, whatever. It's a very common event that's happening all the time. But our lion population in our game reserves, in our national park, in most areas, is stable. So it is one of the consequences that we have. It's unavoidable.
So it means in that case, the hunters can provide a lot of help for the local farmers and protect their livestock.
Yes, they can, but quite often it is too late. Imagine a poor family that are tilling the soil with their own hands, and they've managed to cultivate 1 or 2 hectares of land. And a herd of 20, 30 elephants comes in there and destroys it. So there is an inherent damage and risk when you try and balance between conservation and the interests of the local people. And that's why we would like to see more the Namibia model being implemented in Tanzania, so that the people have greater benefit from the wildlife to make up for the losses that they may have from livestock being killed and eaten by lions and leopards, or mortality to people from wildlife.
Michel, what is your favorite species?
What's that?
What is your favorite species?
My favorite species?
Yeah.
When I was young, it was the ladies. Now, in my older age, it's buffalo. I love hunting, and it's all different. Elephant hunting is very physical and intellectual. Leopard lion hunting, it's all about thinking, it's all about planning, it's all intellect. Buffalo is physical. I really enjoy hunting nice or very old buffalo. On foot, getting close, that's very enjoyable. Leopard, lion are sought-out trophies, but they're magnificent animals, and you always feel a little bit sad when you've harvested one. So I would have to say, for me, buffalo.
What was your biggest personal success during your practice? What was your biggest success, biggest personal success during your life and during your practice? No, best success. It's not related to the trophy or hunting. It's the best success related to your work, in Tanzania, in any.
I really am having a hard time hearing you right. My best personal satisfaction, I've hunted some great trophies, but that is immaterial. My best personal satisfaction is taking over a hunting area and making it better, conserving it, building the wildlife population, increasing it, the business model where the more wildlife you have, the more you can hunt, the more you can make. And that has given me the greatest personal satisfaction. I'm getting a little too old to be doing anti-poaching, but I still sometimes participate. The conservation, my conservation achievements, I have taken some phenomenal trophy animals, but that tickles my ego. But my personal satisfaction will always go to the conservation I have managed to achieve in my hunting areas, top and foremost.
It's really, really nice. You are always full up with plan, and you are always planning new activities and new hunting events. What is your plan now? What will be the next step in Tanzania?
For us to go back to our former glory, for us to achieve the ultimate we can in conservation, is to revive the hunting industry to former glory. But we are facing a lot of pressure by the anti-hunting community. Anti-hunting, unlike what people think, it's actually a very big business. In America, anti-hunting is $1 billion a year, and they can keep 20% for management. It is a great lifestyle. It's a great business. And in the Western world, they're trying to make hunting unpopular. And our conservation model is based on the hunters. So the better the anti-hunting world does, and it's all based on fraud. It's not based on science. It's not based on reality. It's purely based on emotion. Okay? And they scandalize us. They demonize us. If there is a known hunter, they will send him thousands of emails. They will threaten him, threaten his family. All of this to try and kill our market. And killing our market is killing our wildlife. Now, think about the irony of this. In the decline that we have experienced in Tanzania, a lot of it from anti-hunting, any hunting area left unoccupied means not managed, no patrols, and poaching becomes rampant, and those animals are depleted, they're killed forever. So, think of the irony that the anti-hunting movement may be responsible for more killing of wildlife and more loss of wildlife and habitat, and killing of more animals than hunting ever took. This is the irony, this is the reality. We're losing the popularity war in the Western world, but this is the reality. They make money on demonizing hunting. The end result is they are decimating our wildlife resources.
Yes, exactly. Have you ever hunted in Hungary?
Sorry?
Have you ever hunted in Hungary?
No, I haven't. I wish I had. I've looked at some of the trophies. They're mouth-watering. I hope one day I will.
I hope in one time we can meet a nice hunting event here in Hungary.
Yes, I'm planning on that. Before we close, I really have to congratulate. What you have put together here is unbelievable. I've been going to hunting shows for the last 32 years. Nobody has managed to do an exhibition like this. I believe it's the largest exhibition in the world in 30, 40 years. So my hat's off to your administration, to the Hungarian government, to the Hungarian people for doing this. This is an amazing achievement.
Thank you for your kind work, especially we are also proud of this nice exhibition, but it is very good for us if anyone from outside see the same. So thanks a lot. We are go more closer to the end of our discussion. So I would like to ask you, what is your most important take-home message to the audience? What are the most important related to the wildlife management, wildlife biology, and hunting together? What are the most important message which we have to say our children, and sometimes every night before they go to bed?
I'd say follow the science, not the emotion. Wildlife management, it's all about the science. And we need to forget, not everybody's a hunter, not everybody should be a hunter. We all enjoy nature, we all conserve. The most critical thing, but you see, in Hungary you still got a very strong hunting culture. And that is to your testament to your country. A lot of Western Europe and the USA has lost a lot of that. People are becoming urbanized city people. They've lost the attachment to rural lifestyle and the wilderness. And of course, when it comes to anything, the science has to lead. And the way that Eastern Europe is managing its resources, scientifically based, is the way to go. You don't need to learn from any of the mistakes other countries, other places have made.
Yes, exactly. Michel, thanks a lot, and thank you for your nice presentation. And I would like to congratulate for your work in Tanzania. I haven't mentioned already yet that we have more and more students from Tanzania in the Agricultural University in Gödöllő. So I hope once time I will have a chance to visit you in Tanzania. And I will see your practice in the fields, which are the most important, not only for the hunters, but for the wildlife biologists as well. Thank you so much, Michel.
Thank you very much.